Good morning, Santa Clarita. Delgado here with you. Yes, we're still talking about the 6-7 trend. I don't get it. It's a thing. So if you go to In-N-Out, don't waste your time. They're not going to give you the 6-7. But anyway, we're here because I'm talking about it with the guest that we have in studio from Loan Depot, your reverse mortgage specialist. Of course, I'm talking about Scott Hoolahan. Good morning.
Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, the 6-7. I don't. It's a it's a
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
I
But we're not here to talk
I
about.
thought you were talking about interest rates. They've been between 6 and 7.
See, there
there
it
you
goes.
go. Right.
Well, good morning. Thank you for coming on in. It's a holiday season. Are you ready for the holidays already?
Absolutely not.
No. You know what? Honesty.
Yeah.
You said it earlier. It's the best policy. Absolutely. Well, hey, you still have a couple weeks out there to get all ready.
Yeah.
But other than that, holiday season. But there is some big news, and kind of people are not sure what that means. But I think it was yesterday that news broke.
Yeah. So yesterday, the Federal Reserve met once again, as they do, and the speculation was that they would lower interest rates, and they did by a quarter point. And the tone of that announcement was what the financial industry refers to as dovish. It kind of means like, going forward, not real sure. Are additional cuts in the mix for the new year? And it usually creates a lot of conversations for me, because everybody makes the presumption that because that cut, interest rates as a whole, mortgage interest rates, would be going down. And so I thought I'd take a minute this morning just to kind of educate and dispel the myth that the two are not directly correlated, right? So there's definitely a connection. And, look, interest rates as a whole, we are seeing a little bit of a downtrend, but here's what I would tell people. If you're thinking about refinancing, you're thinking about buying, you're at that point where interest rate is at the forefront of your decision, here's what I'd have you do. You're going to want to get up every morning and watch the 10-year yield, right? So mortgage companies and mortgage professionals like myself, we're not really concerned with what the federal government did yesterday, because it doesn't have that. When you hear a quarter point reduction, interest rates on mortgages didn't go down by a quarter. What that prime rate drives, that prime rate is the basis that drives car loans, credit cards, personal loans. If you have a home equity line of credit, that could very well be based off of the prime rate plus a margin, right? So all of those areas, short-term rates, typically they saw that direct reduction yesterday with the prime rate changing, right?
And did that go into effect immediately?
Yeah,
or,
so that
okay.
hits the market. Once he opens his mouth, he says, this is what we're doing. So then as it relates to mortgage rates, you don't see the same, movement for a quarter point. Everything went down. That's not how it works. So if we started in the morning at 6 1/4, a 1/4% interest rate reduction didn't take everybody to 6. So what happens is we're watching that 10-year yield, and you go, well, why? Well, so many moons ago, if I was sitting here, probably I'm going to guess off the top of my head 25 years ago or more, I would have been explaining this as it relates to the 30-year yield, right? Because that was kind of 30-year mortgage, 30-year money. And what happened was the mortgage industry and the big agencies, Fannie and Freddie and FHA, decided, you know what? If you looked at the book of business, the average homeowner was keeping their home for somewhere between 6
and 7,
somewhere in there, but less than 10, right? There was some event that was causing people to either refinance that 30-year mortgage, do a cash out, get a lower rate, or sell, move up. Something was happening and so there was a trend there, and they said, well, then, we should be using 10-year money for the mortgages. So that's what happened. The 10-year yield became that basis for mortgage rates, and that's really what we watch every day, right? Your variable rates are going to be based off of a different index, typically what's referred to as the CMT, but that's not everybody is really has an appetite for the variable interest rate. So we'll stay on the fixed 30-year. That's based off of the 10-year. So this morning we saw it. It is taking a little bit of a downward turn, right? So right now, when I came in this morning, I think it was around 4.108, somewhere in that range. That's nice. What we'd really like to see is for that to get into the threes. If that gets into that 3.9 something or lower, then that brings us into the fives healthily, right? Into your mid to high five interest rates on the 30-year. That's a place where I think a lot of the industry professionals, the real estate professionals, they feel like if we could get there, we'll start to see the real estate market.
And that's going to be the good spot for everybody, like the realtors and obviously the sellers and whoever have you there, the customers, if you were. Again, we're talking with Scott Hoolahan from LoanDepot about the interest rates and how the recent news as of yesterday changed a lot. But it's a bit confusing because you're not sure which changes which, but this is why you are here. And you are the expert to let us know. Again, and so the thing you were watching is for the 10-year yield. That's what you should be watching on your end, because I know there's going to be a lot of stuff that did change as of overnight, but also now you're seeing it's the downturn here, and maybe if it trends that way, it's looking like it's going to be good. But how long about do you estimate?
Here's the problem. My crystal ball doesn't work. It does, and so I put it away years ago, and so I stick with what I see happening today. And I'm very dovish about talking about the future. Here's what I can tell you. A lot of folks that I listen to are really good at looking at the past to try to use that as a barometer for what might happen in the future. And what we've seen over the last two Fed cuts is a dip and then a return to where they were at 4.1 plus, 4.2 plus, right? And so that means interest rates stayed where they've been in that mid to low sixes, depending on the product and the profile of the customer, right? So what I like to say is, I'm a bird in the hand kind of guy. So if you purchased 2 years ago and you're sitting on a 7% or the high sixes, man, today might be the day, especially, depending on the loan amount out here. Loan amounts can be in the sevens and 800,000s because you purchased $1 million home. Today might be the day to call your mortgage professional and figure out what that savings looks like. I'd love to be that person.
Right.
Give
them a call.
Me.
Give Scott. Yeah. Let's give you a call. And how would they go? Give them a number, website.
Easiest way is probably to go to my website. That's reversescott.com. And the reason that I have that website is because besides just doing the normal mortgage business, over the last several years, I've really leaned into and specialized in the reverse mortgage, helping people to use that as a retirement tool, as a tool to help them create cash flow and live out their best years where the age in place, and use those monies to do a number of things. You and I have had a bunch of conversations, and so today I wasn't going to spend too much time on that. I think I get to come back and see you next week, and we'll talk more about the reverse. But you can find me, or you could just call me direct, 805-901-7373.
There, one more time with the phone number and then the website.
805-901-7373. And I'm here at LoanDepot right here in Valencia. You can spell out my name, Scott, Hoolahan, HAN.com, or go to reversescott.com and
ReverseScott.com, the reverse mortgage specialist. And again, yeah, we'll talk more about reverse mortgages next time we see you. But all that, get caught up on your holiday season there. Get ready. And thank you for coming on in.